Donald Trump decided against spreading joy and cheer and opted instead to declare that the United States was dying from within as he wished Americans holiday greetings on Sunday. The former president, who was described in a recent New York Magazine profile as connected to only a tiny inner circle of aides and advisors as he pursues a third bid for the White House, remains largely holed up at Mar-a-Lago and his other Florida properties as he faces a bevy of criminal and civil investigations. Those ever-present issues were mirrored in Mr. Trump's mood on Sunday morning as he noted the withering cold much of the country is experiencing this Christmas and blamed his political foes for destroying American society and, in particular, for not doing more to tamp down on illegal migration at the southern border. On this very cold but beautiful Christmas day, look at our nation now on the southern border, compared to only a short time ago during the Trump administration, wrote Mr. Trump. We had the most secure border in our history versus the horror show that is happening now, with record-setting numbers of people, many of them hardened criminals, including killers, human traffickers and drug dealers, pouring into our country at a rate the likes of which we have never seen before. The USA is dying from within, he declared. But the former president wasn't done there. He went on to post a second angry screed minutes later, which concluded, "Today, like never before, we are a nation in decline, a failing nation." Mr. Trump famously ran for president in 2016 on a promise to build a physical barrier along the US-Mexico border to control illegal migration. That barrier was never completed, though the Biden administration continued some construction and repair efforts after taking over in 2021. His rant was a sign of what many Trump world correspondents have reported through first-hand interviews with the president and his allies, as well as analysis of his public events, which have at least temporarily ceased following the conclusion of the 2022 midterms. That the former president is now focused on little more than getting revenge against Joe Biden and the others he sees as responsible for his political defeat in 2020. The ex-president now stands on shakier electoral ground than ever before. His rivals in the GOP smelled blood in the water after his chosen acolytes Kari Lake, Doug Mastriano, Herschel Walker and others fell flat in this year's midterm contests, leading to Democrats retaining control of the Senate and nearly heading off GOP control of the House. And he remains beset by criminal investigations of his campaign's efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election in Georgia, not to mention the ongoing Justice Department grand jury probe into January 6 and the effort to obstruct the peaceful transfer of power to Mr. Biden. His company, the Trump Organization, was also recently convicted of a scheme to shield executive pay from tax authorities. Former federal judge J. Michael Luttig said this week that former President Donald Trump would likely end up behind bars if he were convicted of inciting an insurrection and other charges. Earlier this week, the House Select Committee investigating the attack on the U.S. Capitol urged the Justice Department to prosecute Trump for inciting an insurrection, obstruction of an official proceeding, conspiring to defraud the U.S. government, and making false statements. During an appearance on Yahoo News' Skullduggery podcast, Luttig was asked about the potential charges facing Trump and whether he could land in prison if convicted. "I believe that were the former president convicted of, let's say, all 4 of these counts, that a district court judge would sentence the former president to imprisonment," Luttig said. That would be, of course, as you can appreciate, merely the beginning of the very long process during which the former president would challenge the convictions themselves, the sentencing by the district judge, all the way up through the Court of Appeals, and then just violated. Luttig is a renowned conservative legal scholar who advised Trump's Vice President Mike Pence. "I don't know that a district judge would have any choice but to sentence the former president to imprisonment under the terms and provisions of these various offenses," Luttig